Welcome back to another episode of the Pirate Broadcast, where we bring you interesting people doing interesting things. And today is no exception. We're going to be talking with the infamous or famous Steve Sims, who's had a variety of episodes in his life that have been very creative, very outlandish, and has stories to tell, and he's walked away from them on occasion. So Steve, welcome to the show, and hope you're having a wonderful day. How are you?
Well, thanks for having me, and so far so good. I'm here in Los Angeles, and it's very early, but I'm proud to be up and ready.
Well, I'm so glad. You know, we met through Mark Shaw's platform.
Yeah.
And I just reached out. You had a profile that was unique, and I thought, there's somebody I got to meet. And looking at some of the information that you have posted in the past is just like, this is going to be a creative, and this is going to be an exciting interview. So, tell us how you have evolved to be in where you are and what you're doing right now. Is kind of like, what is it that you're doing right now? And then work us back on how you got there.
Wow. Well, through stevedsims.com, I consult. I have an online community. I have, shockingly, and when you hear about my past, you'll kind of like go, are you kidding? I have a very successful book, international. It just got released a couple of weekends ago in Poland and was sold out on the first day.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I know. So I run an event called Speakeasies, where I charge $2,000. People turn up. Well, before they turn up, they're not told where it is. They're just told it's being held in a certain city. So we've had Speakeasy, San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles, and we just give them an address. And once they land there, then for 2 days, we tell them what's going on. But the fact is, they paid $2,000 and they had no idea what they were doing. So that tells you what I'm doing now. Yeah. And then when you hear where I come from and realize it wasn't Harvard or Eton or the Queen, that's when it starts going, well, that's ludicrous. 15-year-old kid left school, had one day that I didn't have to work, and then my dad pulled me onto the building site. I was a builder in East London, bricklayer in East London, should I say. And then one day had an strange epiphany moment on the scaffolding with my family, which threw my trajectory out. And I just suddenly became like all entrepreneurs, an aggravated child that needed to be challenged and engaged. And this was in the 80s, where my superpower, my wife says, was ignorance. And I don't take that as rudeness, but we never had. And I look at you, and you're just over the age of 21, but none of us had Instagram to look at what a designer was, or what they would do. We never had any of that information, so I was ignorant to that world. And the beautiful thing about being ignorant to it, I wasn't frightened of it. So I went from being a bricklayer in London to a doorman, which gave me the best pedestal of humanity. Different people coming into the clubs. It showed me different pockets of people. I went from a doorman to party planner to branding and marketing, and being the leading experiential concierge firm for literally billionaires throughout the world. And to give you some of the highlights, I had a client that wanted to get married in the Vatican by the Pope. I had a client that wanted to meet Journey. I thought that was pretty pathetic, so we put him on stage, and he sang 4 tunes as the shortest-term lead singer of the rock group live in concert in San Diego. I've sent people down to the seabed to see the Titanic with James Cameron. Sent them up to the edge of space, put them on movies. I've got clients that I had arranged walk-on roles, and probably one of the infamous ones that I'm known for is I had a client that wanted to go to Florence and have a fancy dinner with his fiance and future mother and father-in-law. So I closed down the Accademia Museum in Florence, set up a table of 6 at the feet of Michelangelo's David, and halfway through eating that pasta, I brought in Andrea Bocelli to serenade him.
Oh, man. That's that's the epitome of ignorance in saying, well, I don't have limits, right? There are no limits. And when you decide, and really it's a decision, it's okay. You're racking up bricks on a scaffold one day, and the next thing you know, you're experiencing life in an entirely different process. And
it's a good thing to have that ignorance.
Well, and we don't know what we don't know, and sometimes that's the best knowledge we can carry, right?
Yeah, we got too many people out there, and I'm afraid the internet's made a lot of stupid people stupider. We got a lot of people out there that a friend of mine, Ari Meisel, said to me, today's economy, we don't need to know how, we need to know who. And thankfully, this was the way I always was. If I needed something, I wouldn't go and buy a book. I wouldn't start downloading YouTube videos. I'll find out who can, and this sounds rude, but who can I kick if it goes wrong? Who can I pass this liability? Who can I outsource my problem to? So before realizing it, I was already outsourcing what I wasn't good at, and therefore it was leaving me a day of stuff that I was good at, which, strangely enough, was just phoning people, arranging meetings, going out and seeing people. I was doing everything I possibly could to avoid email, still do. And that's what ended up happening. I was outsourcing my problems and my liabilities to other people to get them to do it. So there's still a ton of stuff I don't know, but I do know a ton of who's.
That almost sounds like a general contractor hiring subcontractors.
It's no different, is it? Do you know, the funny thing is, I grew up in East London, and I remember, I don't want to get dark on this conversation, but I remember in my early 20s, and I'm a big lad, big, tattooed biker, ugly guy. And I remember at the time, in my early 20s, kind of bouncing off the walls, trying to find out what I could do. And I actually felt a bit of resentment towards my family because I thought I'd been raised up poor. I was getting up at 4:30, 5:30 in the morning to do the milk round before I'd go to school. Then I left school, and then I'm getting up at 4:30, 5:30 in the morning to go to the building site to get another couple of hours in before the day started. Coming home dirty, messed up, trying to take out girls either on a crappy motorcycle or in the company building van with all the building supplies in the back. So that wasn't going very well for me. So I resented my teenage years, thinking I'm poor. It wasn't until my mid-20s that I'd realized how wealthy I was. I never, ever doubted there'd be food on the table, never doubted I was loved, never doubted I was protected, and I was being taught how to work. Just like now, you get up in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning to be on a podcast. None of the kids have got to get up. Wife's still in bed, but let's be blunt. This isn't hard work. Getting up at 4:30 in the morning in your 70s, going out into a building site, getting rained and crapped on and dropping things. That's hard work. Having a chat with you today, drinking a cup of coffee and spilling the beans, game on. That's all fun. Yeah.
Well, I'm much the same way. I remember my dad pulling me out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work on a construction site. And I worked construction for years. And I was a musician, so I'd play music at night and, bend nails in the daytime, pour concrete, whatever it took. And that taught the discipline of getting things done. So I think really the end result is that as we develop our skill set and our genius zone and, what we really love to do, and that merges with our ambition and our ability to focus on an outcome, it really helps develop us as an individual. Because if you can help people find what they need and introduce them to the outcome, and you can put that together and produce results, obviously you've proven that you can take it anywhere, right?
Do you know the problem today? And of course, we're in a strange time at the moment.
Sure.
People aren't looking at the outcome. They're looking at their feet. They're looking at the now. They're looking at this second. And whenever
immediate gratification
or immediate panic. The bottom line of it is when you're looking down at your feet, you can't run forward to the next opportunity. Yeah, you should always look at the shit. And we all know this. This is nothing new.
Logic isn't always emotion.
No, perfect. And we don't get success from success. We get success from the dark times, from the challenging times, from the mistakes. Everything phenomenal that's probably ever happened in your life, phenomenal and impactful, has come from learning it from when it wasn't. And now we're in a situation where we can be learning so many lessons about what we do, who we are, who we connect with, that there are so many lessons that we can be learning now, as you say quite rightly, to prepare ourselves for the outcome that we actually want. It 100% is mindset. And it's mindset, not intelligence. I've got a good friend of mine, Jay Abraham, that has actually said my ICANN is far superior to my IQ. And I'm proud of that little quote from him.
I really like that. I really like that. My ICANN is superior to my IQ.
You can have it. Jay gave it to me, so I'm passing it on.
Well, sometimes making a decision, just like getting off the scaffold and going to be a doorman, changed the trajectory of your life, right?
Yeah.
That was a decision. That was a decision you had to make. And even though it was fueled by, some resentment, potentially, the outcome was that it changed who you became. Correct?
Yeah, I didn't get. No one actually wakes up one morning and says, "Hey, what do you want to do for the rest? I'd like to be a doorman, please." I ended up as a doorman just purely and simply because I was still hunting for money, and I just happened to be drinking at this club when something went down, and they asked me to help it out. So I fell into that. But yeah. I had made the conscious decision, just like all entrepreneurs. I had made the conscious decision that where I am wasn't right. I was not fitting into any holes, and I didn't have the ability to create my own hole. So it was a conscious decision for me not to settle at a young age. And again, as a youngster, you're bouncing off the walls. It's in the 80s. You can't keep a job down. My mum just thought I was going to go to prison. Simple as that. But it wasn't a conscious decision for me to end up on the door. It was a conscious decision for me to not accept where I was. But every time I'm in something, every time I get, like even this, I was looking at the links you use and everything. Anything that I'm involved in at the moment, where can I learn from? How can I expand on this? What can I bet? Yeah. And when I was a doorman, seeing the girls coming in celebrating a hen night, or seeing the couple coming in on an anniversary day or the first date, I suddenly started to recognize humanity. And I became quite good. I'd be on the door, and as a group of guys would come to me, I'd be like, what are they after? And I would try to guess what and then I would say to the boys, "Hello, boys, what are you here for tonight?" And see if I could get it right. And so I became very good at recognizing body positioning and body style. And that actually helped me quite a lot. It's amazing how much being a doorman has actually helped me do what I do now.
I can appreciate that as being a musician in multiple clubs. And some of those clubs were not necessarily, they were kind of rough, Like, I've seen some pretty amazing battles in some clubs. Yep. And you learn how to read the crowd. You learn how to read people, and you learn how to appreciate what's going on and how to divert some attention to someone that needs a little more attention, right?
Exactly.
And I suspect that your genius zone is somewhere along the lines. It's funny that I always tell people that don't know where they're going yet to go out and get experiences just like that. Because what it does is it does two things. It identifies where you don't want to be and gets you to move forward. As long as you're moving forward, you're doing okay. Just like you said, don't look at your feet, look at your future, and be able to interpret that and find out, okay, well, I don't like this, I don't like that, interview people, talk to people. And I'm sure you have many conversations where you decided, well, this isn't probably the best direction for me to go, or this is an amazing place for me to go.
Well, have you seen on any of the social platforms that I actually take a bunch of people to prison on a regular basis?
Yes.
Yeah, I got taken to a prison. It was about 3 years ago now. And they took me there one day. well, they asked me, would I come in and help do a training program with some inmates that they now call EITs, entrepreneurs in training, trying to take that hustle that got them inside to productive businesses outside. Mm-hmm. And they said, will you come along and help with the training program? And I thought to myself, this would be, I know it sounds silly, but this would be fun. It'd give me some cool little, Facebook stories. Steve Sims went to prison. My mum knew I'd end up there, even though she didn't know it'd just be for a day. And I went along and I was amazed at some of the genius in this room, but how they had used it for different businesses. Now, we never had any, bad guys in there doing horrible things to horrible people. It was a lot of kind of like gang-related stuff or, businesses, but there was a lot of hustle in them. They had just used it in the wrong direction. But It was a very strange room to be in with 60 lifers. You weren't in Kern because you got a parking ticket. This was a hardcore maximum security, level 4 maximum security prison. Mm-hmm. So when I came out of it, you can't come out of that prison without the grass being greener, the sky being bluer, the air being fresher. You suddenly realize how wealthy you are. And I've realized ever since then just how incredibly wealthy I am and how a lot of my wealthy clients are incredibly poor. So what I started doing was I started getting these groups together, and 3 times a year, I take them into prison. And if you've ever had trouble giving a presentation in front of your boss or in front of a sales presentation or anything like that in any room, then you come with me to prison. You will never give a rat's ass about that room ever, ever again. You'll come out stronger, wiser, and prouder. You'll stand up taller.
Yeah, it's a sobering experience, and never having been to prison, I can't express the same feeling. However, I have, in my younger days, have spent a few nights in jail. so I'm just
that's
saying.
Another episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. However, it was an experience, and I like looking at it through the lens of what experience and what has this experience taught me. What can I take away from this? And it's just an experience. Sometimes it's a good experience. Sometimes it's not as good as an experience. And you really have to understand, okay, what am I getting? What am I receiving from this? What am I thinking? And how is it possible to change me in my future? Because we, as long as we're carrying baggage from the past, we really can't move as fast in the future as we'd like to, right?
Yeah, but it's really one of those things, though, are they? People don't think like you do. If more people thought like you do, and I think I do, to actually harness what you're involved in, this moment, good or bad, shit or shine, in this moment, what am I getting from this? What am I growing from this? And if they just analyze and just me, I vocalize it. I will literally, if something goes south and I get off a phone call and it was bad, or I do a meeting and the sale didn't go through, I'll literally sit myself down with a coffee and a pad and I'll go, okay, verbally, I'll say, what went wrong there, Steve? And I will try to break it down, because here's the daft thing. You got their interest because you had them on the phone. You got their interest because you got in the room with them, So it wasn't a complete shit show. You actually progressed, but at one point during that day, that presentation, that opportunity, it went south. If you can find that little nugget and tweak that, then the following day it's plain sailing for the next presentation or promotion or prospect that you actually do. So you're right. Analyze the moments.
Yeah, analyze the moments and really take it for what it is. It's just because it's experience or education. That's what it is, right?
Yep.
So can you reflect on a time that things, with any entrepreneur, there's these peaks and valleys that we all experience, right? It's like this moment where you're thinking, how in the hell did I get here? What was my day? And then that actually turned out to be an amazing experience. I mean, an amazing outcome, where in the moment it seemed like this is not going to possibly come together.
Well, I think one of them was me as a doorman. You see, when I was in England, and I was trying to get a job, I would end up bouncing backwards and forwards into the building site because I knew what I was doing on a building site. And I was on the train once, and there was this kid. Still to this day, I can never remember him, but he apparently went to my school. And he had a suit on, and he had a rolled up paper, and he had a cup of coffee, and he was a stockbroker. And this was in the 80s. And I thought, this guy was a god. And he started talking to me. He said, "Oh, do you remember me?" And of course, I'm like, "Yeah," and I didn't. And he said to me, he said, "My bank is actually training stockbrokers to go to Hong Kong." He said, "They're taking so many people. I can help you." And so I got a appointment to actually go and see the bank. I borrowed my dad's suit, which was hanging off the shoulders. My resume, left school at 15, worked on a building site, wasn't exactly longer than a stamp. So my resume had more fiction in it than any Harry Potter novel. And this is the thing. I didn't want it to be full of lies. I wanted it to be full of questionable truths and slight exaggerations beyond the norm. I actually mentioned in there how I was related to the Queen. It was so stupid of a resume. I wanted the person to read it and just go, "This is bollocks, isn't it?" And that to start a conversation. But it never got to that. I was actually interviewed in a room with like about 60 other people. Yeah. And just by being in the room, they literally, and this was back in the late 80s, they literally said, "Make sure the girls have got your details and we'll see you in Hong Kong." I got taken to Hong Kong as a trainee stockbroker, and we landed on the Saturday, got drunk on the Saturday because I'm qualified at that, got drunk on the Sunday, still qualified. And then on the Monday, we did orientation for a bank called BZW, major bank. And then the following morning, I went in to find out where my desk is and find out what the hell I'm going to bloody do from here on. And I was taken into a room and I was fired. So I lasted in my stockbroking career for 24 hours. And it was only because I was literally at this bar drinking. And my girlfriend, who thankfully has become my wife, she's still in England. And I've only ever lied to her twice: on her 50th birthday when we surprised her with what we were doing, and for 6 months when I was in Hong Kong, because I had no job, but I would phone her up once a week and tell her everything was going good. Okay, so only 2 times I've ever lied to her. But I was in this bar thinking to myself, I'm done. I've got no friends, I've got no backup, and I've got no support, I've got nothing. And it was funny. They say, when the student's ready, the lesson will appear. I was in this bar drinking myself with the whiskey, thinking, where do I go from here? I don't even know the language. What do I do from here? Yeah. And that's when this the owner of the club tapped me on the shoulder, and she said, there's some hassle going in there. She said, she said to me, she said, that people like you, she said, you go sort them out or my people will. And so, and then she said to me, the thing that really caught my attention, you do that, I pay for your drinks. And I thought, game on. Now I'm interested. So, but it was that moment that I was thinking, I've got no future. I've got nothing, that she gave me a challenge. And that ended up putting me on the door. And then I started going, well, hang on a minute. I've got to do this. And there was one lesson. There was one lesson that changed everything from when I was on the door. Can I quickly tell you that one?
Yes, please do.
So I'm on the door. And again, just like you, my fella, always looking for where my lesson is. What am I learning from here? And as I say, at the time, I was looking at, I wonder if he's got money or if he's pretending to have money. What are the traits that, are showing me that he is who he is? And I was learning all these lessons about psychology, humanity, humankind, bouquets of people. And I was playing this game when I was on the door. I want to be him. I want to be him. I want to be him. And I thought to myself, I need a reason to talk to these guys. So as a doorman, I knew where all the parties were, where all the special guest appearances were going to be. So I started just literally tapping on the shoulders of the regulars, the guys that were affluent that I wanted to talk to. Because again, you are the combination of the people you hang around with. So I thought, I don't need broke bikers. I need really rich people, because then by default, I'll be one of them. Yeah. Simple as that. So I started to tell all these guys, and I had like a little ring of people that I would tell where the best clubs were. And this guy came in one day, and he was with his 3 mates. And he was a regular, and I'd started having little conversations with him. I wanted to find out what he wanted, what he did, and I wanted to ask him, "Why are you wealthy and I'm not?" That was my goal. I'm not a long-term planner. I'm sure that was my goal to ask. And he came to the door and he said to me, "Hey, Steve, are you going to the yacht party tonight?" No, living in Hong Kong, the entire place is basically a harbor. So I had no idea what he was talking about. So I'm sitting there, I'm stood there blagging it. I'm like, which one are you talking about? You know, I had no idea. So he told me about it. And I went, "You're not going there?" And he went, "No, we can't get in." I was like, "Oh, okay." And he went into the club, and it was pretty early evening. So I said to my fellow meathead, I said, "Hang on a minute, I gotta try something." So I walked down to the harbor, which was very close to Wan Chai, where I was working in the club, and I took off my tie. So I'm just wearing a black shirt and a white shirt, a black suit and a white shirt. And I walked down to where the yacht was, and I saw this girl there right at the gangplank as stuff was being loaded onto the yacht. And I went up to her and I went, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Look, we've got 4 people coming here tonight to the party. I forget what time it started, like 9 o'clock. I said, do you want them here at 8:30, or would you like them here at 10:30 when the kind of like bottlenecks over? What would work best for you?" And I shut up. Now, everyone's got a knee-jerk reaction. Hers was she immediately started looking through this flip chart. Hadn't given her name, and it wasn't a question that could have been answered on this flip chart. So I said, "Look, I know you're busy, and I don't want to get in your way. Just wanted to work out what was best for you so I can advise the guys." And she was like, I think she said something like 10 o'clock or something, like an hour after it opened. And then what I did, now bear in mind, I was making $600. This was one of my big turning moments.
Yeah.
I was making $600 a week. Okay. Not exactly, I was getting a few tips, but not exactly buying a Merc or anything at the time. So I opened up my wallet and I pulled out $150. Okay. Which to me was like everything. And I went, "There you go." I said, "Let's be honest. They're going to come along here. They're going to have a great time. More than likely, they're not going to say thank you because I know where you're at. I've worked parties before." Didn't tell them I was a doorman. I said, "I've worked parties before, but I wanted to say thank you. Tomorrow, when this is all over, get yourself some nice takeout and a nice bottle of wine and just be thankful it's over." And she was like, "Oh, thank you." I gave her a vision because let's be honest, and I've worked at it so many times. The person that puts the party on, and this is the same with you if you're doing a house party, the person actually hosting the party never enjoys it as the people that are attending it, you know, working it. So I was giving her a vision of tomorrow, thanking her and giving her a bottle of wine. Okay. Yeah. And she was like, "Oh, thanks." She was stunned. And then the next step was my all on black move. I said, "Have a good night." And I turned around to walk away. And as I started to walk away, that's when she called me because I hadn't given her the clients' names. And she went, "Oh, hang on a minute. What are the names?" And I gave her the 4 names and she wrote them down on the front of the pad. And I said, "Look, should I have them ask for something?" She said, "Have them ask for me." And I went, "Have a great night. Keep it calm. It'll all work out well. It'll be great." I went back to the club, walked into the boys, and I went, "Hey guys, I've just made a phone call." I didn't even have a phone, you know. So I said, "I've just made a phone call, pulled a few strings, and you want to go to that yacht party tonight? I've made it happen for 4 of you." I said, "That'll be 500 each." And they were like, "Oh, great!" And they leapt up and just dropped $500 each onto the table. And I thought,
light bulb moment.
It was. I realized then they weren't paying to get into the party. They were paying for someone else to, you know, maybe get declined or the humiliation of getting refused. A lot of people, and the bigger the profile you get, don't actually like to ask for things for fear of them getting declined or turned away, or worst case, being asked for a favor later on down the line. Okay, because favors gather interest rate worse than any kind of mafia family could offer. So it's best just to pay and play and get it over with. And I suddenly realized I was faced with a lot of affluent people with a lot of great access, premieres, launches. And that's what I went after next time, was any of the designer stores doing like a trunk show. You know, were any of the places doing a premiere of a movie? Was there the unveiling of a new car? I started searching for them and literally getting these. Now these guys were so rich. I was going to the affluent brands, going, "Hey, I can get 20 of the richest guys in the area into your event to see it," and they could all buy it on their credit card and not even notice the end of month payment. You know, are these the kind of people you want? Oh, yeah, they are. Then I'd go to the clients and go, "Hey, I can get you into this great party. It's cool, access, beautiful, gorgeous women, all that kind of stuff. $500 per person or 1,000." And it started going up. From that yacht party, I ended up working for the Grammys, the Kentucky Derby, the New York Fashion Week, Formula One. And this year just ended my contract with Sir Elton John for his Oscar party. So I just took it as high as I could.
That is fantastic. That is amazing story, Steve, for us to think about and reflect on, because you're brokering introductions, you're making connections, you're not taking no for an answer, and you're not taking yes for an answer. You're making things move forward. You're just making it happen through decisions and making the introductions from point A to point B. That's it. And the beautiful thing about that is you probably enjoy the challenge and the chase, right?
I do. You know, my chapters have changed through your life. I enjoyed getting the rich people into parties. Then I enjoyed actually throwing the parties. Then I enjoyed marketing and branding the parties to get the right kind of people. Uh-huh. And now with Sims Distillery, I'm actually enjoying getting entrepreneurs just to think differently. I think as any entrepreneur, we need to be challenged. It's our fuel. We need things to maybe not always work perfectly right, because if they work perfectly, we ignore them. But when things go wrong, we actually work on them and we refine them. And we chase that perfection, but hopefully we never find it. So I'm the same as every other entrepreneur, just looking to be engaged and challenged.
Well, I just really appreciate the fact that we connected, and I look forward to future conversations. And I know it's busy and you got a ton of things I'm sure that you got on your plate to do. And I just wanted to, bring you to the table, and because my whole goal is I want to bring interesting people doing interesting things. It's a slice of life that we seldom get to really slow down long enough to see. And I think it's important for us to understand that there is possibility out there. There is opportunity out there. And you don't necessarily have to be stuck in a cube doing whatever you hate, thinking that this is the rest of your life. There's other things that are taking place around us that, even in times like this, there's still people that have needs, they have desires, and we can help, produce results and outcomes and assist them through the process. It's amazing to me to see when you look at through the lens of opportunity, everything seems like an opportunity. Then it becomes the focus. It's like, what do I want to focus my time on? And when you enjoy what you do, like I believe you do, then it's just a matter of how do I develop it for me today? Because it's, 10 years ago isn't the same as it is today, right?
No.
So
well said.
So thank you, Steve. I really appreciate it. I just want to give everybody a shout out that joined us today. Randy McNeely, Latasha, Gabriel, Wendy, Angie. Thank you so much. Vicky O'Neill, Fred Costa, Russ, Wendy. These people are all here in the community. And now that you're a pirate, Steve, I'll look forward to following you a little closer and get the pirate community a little bit more visibility for Steve. So
appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate you. As always, I am here to assist and promote. The kindness is cool. Smiles are free. And you enjoy the day.